Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with my review for The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 3. Alright, so I actually really enjoyed this episode. I thought it's definitely the best episode out of the first three here of Season 9, and I thought it was one of the best episodes of the last like 3 seasons put together. This is the kind of stuff that we really expected and really wanted from Angela Kang, and the new kind of theme for the show going forward. We wanted that character development. We wanted that focus on dialogue and the relationships and all that stuff. And this episode was one of the best episodes, I would say, for that. Maybe since an episode that was written by Angela Kang. So in season 4. She had a still and a couple other ones throughout there that area, and again, they were episodes just like this one. I don't think she actually specifically wrote this episode, but you could tell sorry, that she gave her input for this one for sure. So anyways, we'll get into a recap here and then go over my rating for the episode, favorite character, and some more overall thoughts of the episode, and also predictions for next episode as well. Don't forget that. And also, so yeah, let me know what you think of this episode, and yeah, let me know what what any predictions you have for next episode and for the rest of the season. It has been confirmed now that Rick Grimes is 2 final episodes, so he will depart the show in episode 5. Whether he dies or just leaves, he will be gone in episode 5. It has been confirmed by AMC. And so now we know there are only 2 more episodes of Rick. So, a little unfortunate, but really looking forward to see how they end up, basically, kicking him off the show, right? How do they end up doing it? So, anyways, guys, if you also like the video, make sure, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel. Really, really would appreciate it. So, anyways, let's get into the recap here, and we start off the episode here with we see Justin, of course, who is the kind of the star of last week's episode. A lot of interaction with Daryl there, and that whole thing, and he's kind of the bad savior, right, of all out last episode. And so we see him reanimate as a walker. And of course, at the end of last episode, we saw him getting knocked out by someone he recognized. So very interesting. And I will admit, I was wrong. I thought it was the Whisperers. And I thought that was a really cool way of introducing the Whisperers. But it turns out it wasn't, as we find out in this episode. But I do still think that it was a tease at the comic book readers who would maybe think that it was the Whisperers and then totally twisting it around. And Walking Dead does that quite a lot. They tease a lot of things that it looks like it's going to be exactly like the comics, and then they go a totally different route. A great example would be Beth in the hospital in season 5, and that is just not in the comics. So, definitely, not even that, any of that. So, anyways, some really great stuff here and some good mix-up. Anyways, so we see him reanimate as a walker, and maybe the most important thing is he also has a wound on his chest there, and obviously we know he was left for dead in this field or this, building compound, it looks like, and of course that comes back later in the episode. And of course we see on the wall, final warning is painted. So again, a lot of people thought warning signs, the name of this episode, meant the Whisperers, but as we found out, it does not. But still a very interesting thing that comes back later on. So this first scene was really great. It was only about 30 seconds long, but it set up so many things that happened at the end of the episode. So then we see Maggie arrives. Why? I don't get this. Like, why is she with a character who looks exactly like Glenn? I'm sorry, but they gotta do it to her, really? Like, I don't know. It's just funny to me. I just think it's hilarious. But anyway, so the guy looks like almost exactly like Glenn. And like, I'm not saying, both of them are Asian, so no, like, he really looks like Glenn. Like, he has the mustache, the same hairstyle as Glenn. Like, this guy looks exactly like Glenn. So, not exactly, but, similar, very similar. So, anyways, just kind of funny to me. But anyways, so they arrive in this wagon, horse-drawn, or carriage, whatever they're kind of riding around with now, and they're met by a group of saviors out on the road looking for Justin, who is missing. So he didn't return to the sanctuary, he didn't return to the camp, and they haven't found his body yet, so, to them, he's missing. And the Saviors then question her about her involvement in the missing Saviors. Of course, they start to blame her, of course. But obviously they see, and she's traveling with the food in the back of the wagon there, and so they see that she's even brought the food, even though they haven't given her the gas or her side of the deal. She's still honoring their side of the deal, so obviously she's not involved with the missing Saviors, and she makes that pretty clear. And then the guy comes in and says, you're the widow, right, and calls her the widow, which is of course Negan's nickname for her as the leader of the Hilltop. And this kind of gets to Maggie, I think, but also is she kind of lets it down. She doesn't, really think about it too long. You can kind of see that initial reaction, and then she recognizes he's just trying to get under my skin type of thing, right? And then she lets it go. So that was really good. And then the Glenn lookalike, I don't even know his name, but anyways, he says, I can't believe we're working with these assholes. And Maggie says, very key line here, we're giving it a chance. And that chance runs out by the end of the episode, of course. So then they encounter Walker Justin, who actually is walking right on the street behind all these Saviors who are trying to find him. Kind of ironic. But anyway, so they find the Walker Justin, and it was better that probably they found them more than the Saviors, because who knows what would have happened. But at least someone has found the body now. And it is confirmed that he has died, and now he's reanimated into a walker. So then we see the Saviors and the Survivors are converging at this the bridge camp, right? The bridge building camp. They are the Saviors are furious, and the Survivors are furious equally at the Saviors. And Justin's body is found. It's kind of in the back of a pickup truck, and they bring it with them up to the camp there. And so both groups are, really, against each other. They're saying all these things, and Carol tries to break up the fighting a little bit, but to no success, really. And even when she done and she says her piece, the two groups are about to charge at one another. Like, this is going to be very, very bloody, very dirty all of a sudden. I would say you have about equal numbers on either side, but of course the Survivors have the guns and the Saviors do not, which is a big part of that, right? And that's also why the Saviors aren't very happy right now. So it would have been bloody, and it would have been pretty bad. But none other than our Rick Grimes rides in on horseback. One of maybe the most badass moments, in Walking Dead, honestly, for him to ride in on that horse. That was awesome. We haven't seen him on a horse since, season 1. So this is crazy. Anyways, I might be wrong, but that's the more prominent thing. Any more prominent time of him on a horse. So anyways, he rides in and saves the day, and he says that they must get to the bottom of who killed Justin before they do anything, right? Before they make any promises about the guns, or they make plans to do something else, right? They have to find out who killed him in order to, punish the people, and also, just learn the situation a little bit more. And he's totally right? So that's what they embark on doing. They embark on going to find who Justin's killer is, and once they find him, then they'll talk about it. So then we get maybe the best scene, at least the best scene between Daryl and Rick in a long time, and maybe the best scene definitely of this season so far, and maybe of the last 3 seasons even. This was such an amazing scene, and acted phenomenally by both Norman Reedus and Andrew Lincoln. Anyway, so Rick goes out to the forest to talk to Daryl, and so what starts out as kind of an awkward conversation because, he says the wound on Justin looks just like an arrow, which kind of implicates Daryl, right, with him and the crossbow. And Daryl's not taking this, a good way, right? I mean, Rick's kind of accusing him of this, and now, Rick doesn't truly believe he did it, but at least he has to kind of check his bases. And so this conversation starts out kind of awkward, but it then goes into a very deep conversation. So Daryl then says, if I'd have killed him in plain sight, right? I wouldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have, hid away from it and left his body. I would have done it in plain sight in front of everybody, and I would have killed him, right? He almost did kill him last episode. If he could have, he would have, right? And so Rick doesn't believe he truly did it, right? He truly, he thinks, okay, Daryl didn't actually do this, but I gotta walk over here and talk to them, right? And so then Rick says, then they get into a conversation about kind of what's going on right now and why the Saviors are equal to them and everything like that. And this was really good. So Rick says, the future belongs to all of us now. And then Daryl comes with this line, an amazing line, kind of an emotional one too. He says, why did they get this future and Glenn don't? Or Abraham, or Sasha, and then a little bit more, and then he says, you ever think about what they want, right? Instead of maybe just Carl. I don't think he mentions Carl, probably purposely, but anyways, I don't think he mentions Carl in this, but obviously he is the one person who pushed Rick to do this, and so now he's saying, think about what Glenn and Abraham and Sasha would want. Would they want this, right? So that was very powerful. And then Rick says, maybe one of the best quotes of the season, he says, killing each other when the world already belongs to the dead, it's not the way, not anymore. And that is definitely a true statement there. And then Rick says maybe the best line I have heard from Rick in a while. Maybe, back to Negan and All Out War. But anyways, he says, I know you don't agree with everything we're doing here. All I ask is you try. And he says, maybe, just maybe, it would be one of the best decisions you've ever made, like not killing a guy who left your brother on a rooftop to die. I'm getting chills right now. I got chills in the episode listening to that. That is amazing. And let me tell you, has Angela Kang written all over it. She is great. I mean, great at bringing back older in the past events and history of the show back in and having that emotional impact. And that was such an amazing line. So true, right? Maybe the best decision Daryl ever made was not killing Rick, who left his brother Merle up there on the roof to die. Crazy stuff, right? And it's so true. Where would Daryl be? Where would any of them be without Rick right now? Crazy stuff. So anyways, I thought that was one of the best scenes of maybe even the last 2 seasons. It was an amazing scene with Daryl and Rick. Then we get these search parties starting to look around for Justin's killer, of course. And first we get to see Maggie and Cindy together going out on their search. And they stumble upon a house that Cindy actually recognized, as she says they used to live in the area, the Oceanside, used to be the Oceanside men and women, but now they're, of course, just the women. And this also comes back a little bit later on, of course. But anyway, so Cindy says it's familiar, and they go to this house, right, to see what's up, and they get in trouble all of a sudden with a few of the walkers as they come piling out of the boarded-up house, and they're attacking Cindy, right? And luckily, actually, Daryl, Rick, and Enid come in and save the day, and Daryl actually saves Cindy by, just a couple seconds there with the arrow to the head of the walker and saving her life. Or saving her from getting bitten at least. So, anyways, that was really great. Some good action in this episode. And Maggie was really badass, too, taking out all those walkers. So, anyways, so then Rick and Enid and Daryl are kind of, they're raising the question, like, how did we get here first? There was another team that was supposed to be here. Where are they? And then they don't respond on the radio. So, they go looking for those people. And they end up finding one of the Oceanside girls, who's one of the, more kind of, badass or whatever, ruthless characters, or one of the more ruthless Oceanside women, who's was one of like the high up guards when we first ran into the Oceanside. So anyway, she's on the ground unconscious, and she wakes up, and they find out that she was hit from behind, or so she says, and that a rot was taken by whoever knocked her out, which of course we know at the end is bullshit, but at the time they believe it, and that's what they are. So they're going now to find a rot who they think will be able to, show them who killed Justin, right? It's all connected, they think. So anyways, that was good, building some a little bit of mystery there. Then we see the meeting between the leaders on what to do next. I really like this line, line, yes, but I really like the dialogue in this scene as well, with them in the tent trying to figure out what the hell to do. And, I mean, not even just finding Justin's killer, but also what to do with it, right? What to do with them. And I love this line with Jerry. I'm so happy that he was in there talking with them. But Jerry asks them, when they catch the perp, is it going to be a Gregory or is it going to be a Negan? So I really like this quote, and of course it's kind of humorous at the time, or kind of comedic, because we all love Jerry for his comedy. but he is actually making a valid point here. I mean, Maggie has went totally against Rick's action with Negan, and Rick has went totally against Maggie's action of Gregory with keeping Negan alive. So this whole thing, is two leaders who are supposed to be connected, who are supposed to be under the same kind of principles, who have made totally different decisions now, and that has really shaped the future decisions that are going to be made. So yeah, it's a kind of a funny line in the episode, but holds true to what's going on right now. And a big question: when they find this bird, which are they going to use? Which method are they going to use? Jerry raised a great question here, but that is just about it between the meeting. Not a lot gets discussed other than that, but I thought that was a very valid point. And then you see Maggie's reaction to killing Gregory in that scene when Jerry says that. She kind of feels a little bit of regret, and maybe is kind of, looking back at it, maybe I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? But later in the episode, it's kind of reinforced. So then we get Jadis. So this was a little bit of a side story, a subplot in this episode, which is going to be very interesting going forward. So Jadis, or Anne, whichever you like, returns to the junkyard to find a walkie-talkie, and she finds it and communicates with the group flying the helicopter, or at least, some group that has been flying this helicopter or others around the area, right? And so, of course, we know this helicopter has existed since maybe the beginning of season 8, or maybe was it season 7? I think it's maybe season 7 even, that we've seen this helicopter, and now she finally is actually communicating with these people. So very interesting stuff. And she says she wants to make another deal with them, and she's talking about an A or a B or something like that, and we don't quite understand it. But Gabriel ends up following her, who's kind of her new boyfriend, or her new partner in a way, her new love interest, I guess. And here's the whole conversation, actually. So he gets up then and begins to question her, because none of this is making any sense to him. And he says, "Who are you talking to?" Right? Kind of drilling her with these questions. And Jadis tells him that she traded people for supplies for her group to this group. So she actually traded people. This is like a human trafficking thing in order to get supplies for her people. And this makes a lot of sense, because we always thought, well, how the hell do these people eat? How are they self-sustaining at the junkyard? And this makes a lot of sense. But again, another question is, who did she trade? I mean, who in the world, what people did she trade for supplies? But anyways, so she asked Gabriel then to go with her without answering really any of the questions. She says, come with me. We'll go, to this place far away where this group is, right? And live out their lives. They don't have to be with the saviors and all this commotion or anything, and this conflict. They can go to this group and then live out their lives. And Gabriel, of course, declines. I mean, first of all, Jadis doesn't even answer any of his questions. And second of all, I just think he's pretty comfortable with his life right now. And so he declines. And Jadis just all of a sudden kind of flips a switch here, and she knocks him out, which is crazy. And then she says, "I thought you were a B." So does this mean that she's going to trade him now to this group? And what does a B mean? Is that a better person, or is an A a lesser person to trade for? What is going on? And will Jadis now join this group with Gabriel under force? I really don't know where this is going, but I do have a feeling that this will be connected with either Rick or Maggie's departure in the coming episodes. I think the helicopter has everything to do with it, so we'll have to see what happens. But really great subplot in this episode, and again, we'll have to see what happens with this, but that's about all we get in this scene. So then we see a quick scene here with the Saviors ambushing Carol and Rick in the forest. And the important part of this scene is that, of course, they end up winning the standoff, right? But the biggest thing here is the Savior, who's referred to as Mud earlier in the episode. He says that they're going back to the sanctuary, and he says there's no going back to that Rick's trying to build after Justin. He says it's too late, there's no going back. And Rick doesn't feel that way. He thinks once they find the killer, everything will be okay. But he says no. Justin's death, no, too far, and there's no going back. And, of course, yeah, so they win this little standoff there, and they choose to keep them both alive, of course, and the Saviors are actually a little bit surprised by this, but again, that's Rick enforcing his way of doing things now, and Carol's kind of buying in as well. So Anyways, interesting line there, and then that also connects later on as you see all the saviors leaving the camp. So I think what that was supposed to symbolize is that they are all now going back to the sanctuary and calling it quits on the bridge. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I interpreted from that scene. Then we get maybe the best part of the episode, really strong ending here. So Maggie and Daryl step over the sign that we saw at the beginning with Justin. So that was really great just in itself, a very nice touch with connecting the very beginning scene, I said the first 30 seconds, to the last 5 minutes. Really great there. And they find the Oceanside girls holding a rat captive. So they were the ones who killed Justin and also the ones who killed the other saviors too. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 saviors missing at this point. Justin is maybe just the most popular or the most prominent one. So anyways, we find out that Justin was the one who killed the one woman's husband, and that is the main reason as to why they kind of stalked him and and killed him for sure. So then we see Rot is on her knees pleading to Daryl and Maggie to save her, right? Because now she's a part of their group, right? And now she wants saving from the Oceanside girls. And Cindy then tells Daryl and Maggie about their past. And this was really great. We didn't get this in season 8, to some people's surprise, but this was a great moment to hear this past and hear this backstory for the Oceanside girls. Really great. And essentially, they were living in that compound, in that building there, and they basically were ambushed by these saviors and Simon. So this may have been before Negan even came along. And Simon and the saviors came in. They gave them their final warning, which was painted on the wall at the beginning of the episode. And they say, Maggie's hanging of Gregory then inspired them to do this and kind of get revenge on the saviors who killed their husbands, their brothers, their dads, and all the men, right? Obviously under Simon. So anyways, makes a lot of sense and some really great history here. And then we understand that Rot was actually the one who killed Cindy's 11-year-old brother. Really, really impactful, of course. And then Cindy makes her say what she said before killing her brother, and she said, "No exceptions." Crazy, crazy line. I'm getting chills right now because that's exactly what Negan said before taking Lucille to Glenn and killing him. So this, of course, gets to Maggie and Daryl. Both of them at the exact same time. You can see that reaction totally turn, right? And of course it gets to them about Glenn, and then maybe the most ruthless thing of the whole season so far is they choose to walk away as we see Rot getting speared in the head and killed in the background. Absolutely crazy, and a huge turning point in this season between Maggie and Daryl and their connection to Rick and Rick's idea of how things are going to go. So they make the ultimate decision of walking away and letting the Oceanside girls take their revenge. Crazy, crazy scene, and a very ruthless one too, very brutal. Then we see at the very end of the episode here, Daryl and Maggie are already making the plans to cover up what happened. I don't think obviously they want it to get out that the Oceanside girls were responsible, so they're not going to tell anyone that. They're kind of making up a fake story, it looks like. And then Maggie says, "We gave Rick's Way a chance, but it's time to see Negan." And the two walk down the road together. Damn! What an ending. So it looks like finally they will confront Negan together. It appears as though that Daryl has not seen him yet, and nor has Maggie. And so them both going to Alexandria now to see Negan, it is going to be insane. Are they going to try to kill him, right? Are they just going to try to talk to him? Who knows what's going to happen here, but it is going to be insane. And we know now Daryl and Maggie are not on board with Rick's plan going forward. Alright, so in terms of our rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5. Like I said, best episode for sure of this season so far out of the 3. I would say one of the best episodes of the last 2 seasons for sure, and maybe one of the best episodes of the last 3 seasons. This was a very good episode to me, and literally just in terms of this impactful dialogue, the storylines, the character development, the relationship building, in this episode, I'm going to have to search up who wrote this episode because I am really looking forward to the next episode they write. And the direction of this episode was great. I mean, absolutely great with the sign coming back from the beginning to the end, the whole connection of the Oceanside girls, where if you think back to it, it was actually right there, right? That story was right there, but still none of us expected it. So that was very good. Some just really, really great stuff in this episode. So both Daryl and Rick, Maggie and Daryl, some really impactful scenes and some really great stuff building for the next few episodes, and especially the next couple to see Rick leaving the show. So ultimately, I think what's going to happen here is Maggie and Daryl, who are going to be, well, the 2 prominent characters, at least in the rest of this first half, because Maggie's probably leaving after the first half, but, you know, they are now going against Rick, and Rick is going to leave the show. So does that mean Rick's way of doing things will be ultimately replaced by Maggie and Daryl's way? So we'll have to see what happens, but that would be my prediction for at least the next little bit of the first half here. And I am waiting for the whispers. I don't know when they're going to come in. I thought maybe last episode, but not. But we'll see. I'm really looking forward to seeing the whispers in the show. So anyways, no Negan in this episode, but I did watch the sneak peek and the trailer for next episode, and he will be in that, of course, when Maggie and Daryl go to confront him. I'm really looking forward to next week's episode. This is The Walking Dead. This is why, you know, all of us tune in. Millions of people tune in every week. This episode is exactly why. So really great job to Angela Kang and the whole cast and crew for producing an episode like this, but also a season going forward like this. It's really awesome. It's great to see this type of Walking Dead. So anyways, great episode. Favorite character for this one, I'm going to go with Cindy, who's played by Sydney Park. I knew Sydney Park from a couple of other things before this, and she is a really great actress. I think she does a great job in this role as well. When she was introduced with the rest of, you know, basically she was our introduction to the Oceanside group. She was really great as a character, and I really think she's really evolved throughout this throughout the last 2 seasons that we've known her, ever since season 7 episode 6 with Tara. So anyways, Cindy, really great character, and seeing her in this episode at the end scene there really sold it to me why she was my favorite character, and that she was able to, you know, convey her actual feelings to these saviors and really tell us what happened and what they suffered through and why they want to kill a rat in the way that they did. So anyways, really crazy scene at the end, and I think Cindy really stole the show in that one. She had a couple other good scenes too. The one with her and Maggie taking on that house was really great to see as well. So anyways, we'll have to see Cindy's character going forward. And if the Saviors ever find out the Oceanside girls are responsible, I don't know what's going to happen, but obviously Cindy's going to be involved in that one. So we'll have to see. But anyways, that'll just about do it for the review of The Walking Dead this week. Again, really great episode, and I can't wait for the next 2 episodes, but also the rest of the season to see what plays out here and how they decide to deal with Rick's departure. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Really do appreciate it as always. And thank you so much for the support on the channel. Really been awesome the last couple weeks. So I do really appreciate that as well. So anyways, guys, so excited for next episode. Hope you guys tune in back for the review. Should be up on Monday or Sunday night, one of the two, on the channel. So anyways, guys, we will see you then for next week's episode, The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 4.